All right, click the links, join the channel, become a member, check out the various other links. So, you know, I always say this is a religion to these people, and I think I have mentioned the breach of the fiduciary concept before about, like, geez, companies are getting so weird. Why are they getting so weird? Is it Disney? Yeah, Disney. The people, for sure, the people who are calling the shots at Disney are woke. But I've also done videos on Larry Fink at Blackrock, and other people have written articles on woke investing. These are, you know, global BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, these globalist companies who use the power of their the invested money to fund projects. So you end up with things that have a lot of people kind of scratching their head. Disney shows that just don't make sense, or other movies that just kind of, like, they have repeated history of making, you know, woke women-led films, or swapping out, you know, just endlessly swapping out European characters for specifically African characters, which is odd because demographically speaking, that wouldn't be the one you would swap out. You'd pick the bigger groups, but it's like they're doing this as a part of their religion. This doesn't, you think, people on the left and the right, they both make this same kind of mistake. They think, companies are, you know, the articles in corporation, they're incorporated in Delaware, and they're following these. No. To believe that is to believe that these billionaires and trillionaires, or even just the wealthy people who are calling the shots, sitting around boardrooms, the creative side and also the business side, sitting around talking about the future films or how they're going to remake, you know, older films. It's to think that they're repeatedly making bad decisions, like obvious bad decisions, where you see a string of 2016 Ghostbusters to the recent X-Men to the Terminator, you know, the female-led Terminator. There's like a ton of the Charlie's Angels. There's just there's about a dozen of those movies where it's a very obvious history of movies that don't make sense. You're like, yeah, you should have. I would have thought you know, kind of learned your lesson from, you know, Birds of Prey type of movies. And you go, yeah, but they keep making these movies. So, and these are, you know, multi-million-dollar movies. So you think, the people who are involved must be really dumb. It's like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's not negligence. They're doing the stuff by intent to do stuff that, okay, they know is not necessarily going to bomb. I mean, some of it obviously has bombed, but a lot of it has been underperforming. So these BlackRocks are globalist companies. I mean, to look at the recent Disney Star Wars in 2016, 15, like, you know, something's not adding up here. It's not that they lost money, but, well, the Solo lost money, and that was like they lost the goodwill that came along with the Star Wars name. That's why Solo lost money. You know, something's not adding up here, where they're doing stuff like this, making deliberately purple-haired, unlikable characters in a show. It's like, this doesn't feel like Disney. It also doesn't feel like a movie that wants to make money. It's like, it made $4 billion. It should have made more than that. Two, how much did it make in toy sales? It didn't. It was underperformer because of those kind of things. So the reason Disney is itself and all these other companies, Cartoon Network, Amazon, HBO, they are woke. And it's very important to analyze the people who are calling the shots on that. But then you also have to look at BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, where they're investing, using their money to invest in movies that don't make sense, where they do stuff like this. They got a 40, 50-year-old woman, Israeli woman, as the lead for a Norse mythology. It's like, she doesn't look the part. She doesn't fit the part. None of this makes sense. Or there's like 100 characters, European characters, that have been swapped out specifically for, of course, non-European characters, usually African. You're like, that doesn't make sense either. I'm not saying this stuff is going to bomb, but it's not going to perform as well as if you would maintain the original artistic vision. Like, there's no artistic reason to do this. That's not why they're doing it. They're not doing it to maintain the artistic vision. They're not doing it for return on investment. They're doing it because they're globalists. They're parasites, and they don't love POCs. They just hate the people of the light, the people of Starbucks, BMWs, and Uggs, that sort of thing. That's why they're doing this sort. I mean, this was, God, all the stuff Disney does is just atrocious. So we'll use Disney as the example. So they're talking about BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, who they do the interview with Larry Fink, who is an insane globalist who are pushing things that, like, if people knew where the money was going and they spoke up about it, they wouldn't be on board with it. But they're counting on a lot of passive investors. Now, the white pill is that we've got social media to be able to start spreading these ideas and to start pushing back on a lot of this kind of stuff. So this guy brings up the point of the breach of fiduciary duty of due care to, to abide by your articles of incorporation, whatever Disney's are, to give the investor what they expected. Same probably for BlackRock and Vanguard. Though, I mean, I guess you'd have a counter argument that, like, people should know what they're investing in. But the thing is, if they just don't know what they're investing in, because you're going to a bank that goes to a mutual fund that goes to Larry Fink, who's using these money, other people's money entrusted to make these like requirements for movies, like women have to have so much talking, Bechdel test type of stuff. You're like, well, so how does that carry out the artistic vision of the art itself, or how does that return investment? It's like, oh, well, you're making a mistake in that you think that those are motivations, either art or money, or, I mean, usually a combination of both. There are artists who have to make a living, or business people who want to make an artistic living. It's usually one or the other, but no, you got to step back from that. That might have been older motivations, but these people that's not their primary motivation. If you don't understand their motivation, movies like Charlie's Angels don't make sense to you, because you don't understand. You look at a movie like, okay, so you came up with this script. It's a bunch of women who don't, they have a certain look to them. It's not really, like the original 20 years ago, Charlie's Angels was three hot chicks. Had a certain three smiling hot chicks who had a history of being friendly. The characters they portrayed had a certain vibe to them. They were friendly. They didn't have this kind of like man-hating vibe. And so if you're looking for investors, venture capitalist types to invest in this movie, you read this thing over and you read the casting decisions. You're like, this doesn't make sense. The original, why wouldn't you get like three hot chicks who were fun and vivacious? To really sell this, like, how do you get investors for a movie like Charlie's Angels or the latest Terminator or the X-Men? It's like, should be called the X. The thing is, I reference that movie. Nobody has seen that movie. In fact, they don't even know which X-Men I'm talking about. It should be called the X-Women, because that's how the movie was just in and out. So you look at something like the Terminator with a bunch of women. It's like you kill off the two main guys, and it's a bunch of women running around. How does this get? What did it cost to film? Like $50 million, $100 million? Like, how does that get any money invested in it? Because of this, because of these Larry Fink types, and whoever's running Vanguard, State Street, because of these people who are like, oh, we're going to push diversity. It's like, unless you understand, like, they're globalists. If you don't understand it, you don't understand why movies like that get made. And why they lose money. It's like, yeah, but that's other people's money. You're breaching the fiduciary duty to the shareholder or the investors in the mutual funds who BlackRock is managing. It's like, yeah, obviously. It's like, why didn't somebody do something about that? Like, well, when you manage trillions, I mean, how is Nancy Pelosi worth $140 million? How is Maxine Waters and Bernie Sanders? How do they have how are they multi-millionaires? How is multi-millionaires with multiple homes? How is AOC worth $30 million? No, of course, like, none of this is fixed through government that brought the problem. And I know this is like, it sounds like it's all over the place, but I don't think it is. It's like all this stuff is all connected, because it's like the people who should be, oh, okay, what about this Security and Exchange Commission? Shouldn't there be some oversight? Yeah, except, I mean, the people sit on the same boards. It's like, yeah, the whole thing needs to be, I was going to say burned down. I mean, peacefully and legally and constitutionally protected, fixed. But I mean, it doesn't have. And it's like, this is a YouTube pop culture channel. What are you saying? I'm saying this is why Disney movies are so weird, and the reasonable conclusion, I guess, you can reach from there is up to you. The thing is, the white pill is you don't have to take part in it at all. These are the worst people on earth. By supporting Disney, Hulu, Amazon, Netflix, Cartoon Network, all those, you're supporting the worst people on earth. The people who fly to islands to, that kind of island stuff. The people who applauded abusers in the Weinstein types in the industry of Woody Allen, Roman Polanski. It's like, yeah, applaud like trained seals. It's like, you guys knew what was going on in Hollywood, and you're still saying, literally the quote, I think Meryl Streep said, Weinstein's a god to me or something. Oprah Winfrey and Weinstein offering, here, take this little white girl. That's a great photo. That's a great image. Anyway, so this is why Disney is the way it is. This is one of the reasons why Disney is the way it is. I guess I'll leave it at that. Anyway, check me out on Subscribestar, and I'll see you guys all next episode.